This is a call I recorded earlier. 45 minutes and a little messy. By the end of this video, that one recording becomes a project plan. The client can actually open a short video script for myself, an outline for a longer video, and a post. All of it sounding just like me, and I never have to sit again in front of a blank page. What you're looking at is a real setup that I can use to run a one-person business, and I'm going to build it in front of you. My name is Emile Giovannie. I went to Harvard, and I have spent well over 1,000 hours inside AI tools. Every single day, I'm building, testing, breaking things, finding out what actually holds us up in a real business and what just look good in a demo. My day job is teaching AI to about 10,000 people inside a large enterprise. So today I'm going to teach you how to use Claude in 6 parts. So 6 parts, the order actually matter. So let me start with the part that you already use and everyone use online, chat. Chat is a front door. You type, it answers. The mistake is that you are treating chat like a Google search, where you just ask a vague question and hope something useful comes back. So, before you ask for anything, you tell the chat 3 things about you. 1, who it is acting as. Act as a marketing manager, act as a business owner, act as an entrepreneur. What you actually want and the shape you want the answer in. So you give it context. Context is really important. So watch me. As you can see right now on my screen, I have the meeting transcripts. So instead of just asking for a vague, like, oh, what was this meeting about? Before pasting the transcript of this meeting, I'm going to tell Claude the following. Act as an executive assistant to the CEO of an AI business. Go through this call transcripts, pull the exact commitment I made to the client, give them to me as a shortlist, and flag the action item with the deadline. As you can see, just appear on the screen. And then I send it. A few seconds later, you can see right there on the screen, the commitment and the action item are out of that 45 minutes call. This is beautiful in it. So that's the first piece of the build that is already done. And when you get an answer that you do not like, well, this is great. Write a one-page scope, build the reporting, record a loom, action item, blah, blah, blah. But I don't really like it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask Claude, you know what? Let's be a little bit specific. So let's tell this to Claude. I want each action item to carry 2 deadlines, my internal one and the one the client sees. I ask for that and Claude is going to adjust. Right. And now you can see, well, Claude said I did not ask for it earlier. Anyway. But as you can see on the screen, action item, internal versus facing client, internal deadline, client sees. So it gives me a specific calendar schedule that I have to follow. And since I am about to build this whole thing out, piece by piece, I'll put the full setup into a free checklist. The link is in the description. Grab it and follow along and build your own version as we go. So part 1 is done. Chat is done. We have our answer. Before we move on, quick check. What do you give Claude Chat before asking it anything? Context. You find it context. Hold on to that because it is the move the rest of this is going to be built on. Now, chat answered me, but it only knows what is in front of it right now. And the second I close that window and I open a new chat, it's going to forget. So I'll have to re-explain everything again, which I do not want. So we move to the part that holds the context. Project. A project is a space where Claude keeps your context permanently. Permanently. You load it once with the thing you will otherwise repeat every time. Your services, your pricing, your tone. 2 or 3 examples of your best past work. Your rules for how you like things to be done. Then every chat that you start inside that project already knows all of it before you type a word. So here's the setup. On the left side of Claude, under chat, you will see project. Click project, then new project. And you give it a name. Let's just give it a name, business with clients about marketing. And then you write a line on what you are trying to achieve. Here, my project is I am keeping all the data about my clients right here, and we are going to build enough context for my content and also a plan for the client. I'm just rambling things out. Then, once I do it, I click on create projects. Once I create a project, two parts matter. First, the instruction. This is where I describe my services, how I price, and how I want Claude to structure its answers. You can be as specific. It's ideal to be as specific as possible in this part of the project. Then, the file. This is where I drop a few sample of past work, a couple of email, a proposal or two. You can add those from your device, from your computer. So as you can see here, you have three options. You have upload from a device. You can also type the text directly, pull it from the drive or GitHub. One thing worth knowing, a project has its own memory, and the memory is wall off from your other chat and your other projects. And Claude rebuilds that memory each evening from the chat inside. That's why right here, I cannot touch the memory because as you can see, project memory will show here after a few chats. So the more you work in there, the better the project knows about the work that you are doing. So now, when I ask it to do something with the commitment, it just pull out. It does a far better job because it's no longer working from nothing, but is working actually from the context. So what I'm going to do, because I've already created the project, I'm going to go back into the chat, and right next to the title of the chat, you can see right here the arrow. You click on the arrow and then add project, and I added here business with client A because that's the name of the project. So I put it there. I don't even have to do a movement, and you can see right here, chat moved to business with client A about marketing. So you go back to the project and it's right there. Projects matter because you, the business owner, hold the full context of your business in your head. And every time you sit down to make something, you have to rethink, you have to retype. Nah, this is too much. Stop. Projects are there for you. However, one thing I learned the hard way, do not stuff a project with everything you own. You overload it and you get choked. You get bloated and slow, like when you are eating too much and you are not able to move later. Give it your best 2 or 3 examples in the file section that I showed you earlier. And that's it. This is good. All right, quick check before the next part. What did I just say not to do with a project? Yes, do not stuff it with everything you own. The best 2 or 3 examples are better. So that's the difference between a project and a chat. So now you know what to use. And especially if you want to make sure that Claude knows the context of your business, you create a project. Now, time to turn that into the first thing you can actually hand over to a human being. Sometimes we all prefer getting a folder. It's nice, well designed, and whatnot. So there's something well designed. There's something, I would say something well designed in Claude that we call artifacts. So part 3, artifacts. An artifact is a real, almost finished output that lives right beside the conversation. It's a document that you can edit, maybe a working calculator, a small web page, a checklist you can send straight to a client. So inside that project, I ask it, take the commitment from the call and turn them into a simple project plan laid out on a clean, well-designed page. Each commitment should become a deliverable with a deadline. And you can set it up so I can move the dates around. And I also want to build it with a link to share to the clients. So you will see right now, let me just remove that part. Actually, let me also remove the last part. And then we'll take the commitment and the same project plan. All right, let's see what Claude is going to do. So it's going to take some time to build it right. I will build you a draggable project plan. Here is the layout with both your internal date and your client-facing date on each deliverable, plus control to shift date around. So you can see things are starting to change. It's moving from a wall of text to a page right inside the conversation. All right, so look at this artifact. This is beautiful. As you can see, I can edit it right here on the spot. So this is a draft scope for myself. This is internal plus clients. I can move it left, I can move it right. As you can see, I can shift the whole thing 14 days, minus 14 days, plus 14 days. I can drag everything. So that's the plan. And it gives me an explanation of what it is. So 2 slider type, the one top shift every date at once. And if Maya, who is the client, she wants to send the sheet late and the whole thing slides. And each row has its own slider to nudge a single deliverable. Isn't it beautiful to have that in Claude instead of a wall of text trying to figure things out? And you can even reset it if you want. And you can download the file or copy it to the to the clipboard. Now, the sending part to the client, I think if you want, we can send to the client, and I'm sure the client will like it as a full-blown page. But this part can be a little bit complicated for this video, and this is for another video, but I'm sure you get my point. This is way better than a wall of text. So that's a real deliverable done. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And it just finished about 90 seconds after the call. And it looked like a great work because of a project. That's the whole point of an artifact. Anytime you catch yourself asking Claude to explain how to make something complex, stop. Human, we process visual fast, much faster than text. And honestly, why ask for the recipe when you can have the hot meal right in front of you? So, before we go any further, quiz. When you want a finished visual instead of a paragraph describing it, what is the feature called? Yes, an artifact. You ask Claude to build the artifact and it build the whole thing for you. Quick one before we keep going, and I read every single comment on this channel. Type 1 or 2 in the comments. So, what's the first thing you will put in your project? 1. The first thing you will put in your project is your client work, your proposal, and your follow-up. Or 2 is your content, your script, and your posts. So pick a number, and if you want to tell me what it is, I am going to build the next few videos around whichever side win. And, it's going to be definitely helpful for all of you. Now, you might have noticed something I skipped right past. This whole thing, I have been working with the transcript of a call, and I never once uploaded a file. So where did it come from? The connectors. So a connector link Claude to the app where your work already live. Your calendar, your email, your call recorder, your drive. Once the connector is connected to your Claude, the whole copy paste between the tabs disappear. To set them up, you have 2 options. Option number 1, you can do it right inside the chat. You click on the plus button right here, and you can see connectors. As you can see, I've added a few connectors in the past, but what you're going to do is simple. For the first time, once you click on the plus, you see connector, go on add connector and browse connector. So once you browse connector, you will see the list of connector that Claude has access to. So you have Canva, Microsoft. You can just type search connector here and you have Gmail. You have Gmail. You have your Google Drive as well. So from then, Claude can reach into the tool whenever you ask it. Now, how did I do with the previous call? I actually record my call in a tool called Fireflies. I encourage you to use it. So right here, as you can see, I gave Claude permission to read. I'm gonna disconnect it and reconnect it again. When I click on connect, it's going to ask me to give it permission. You don't see that permission screen, but what it basically does, I'm gonna show you that screen quickly. So Firefly MCP is requesting access. So it's going to authenticate with my Fireflies account, and I'm going to give the permission, the authorization. Sometimes it will ask you to log in and whatnot. I have logged in already, so I don't really have to do it for the purpose of this video. And right here, as you can see, when I open back my Claude, it's going to take a minute, but let me go back. It automatically gets connected. Once, for the first time, when the connection ends, you will come on this page. So right here, you have the read-only tools that sometimes need your approval or always allow. And then you have the write and delete tools. So ideally, I would always encourage you to keep it like this, needs approval. So sometimes Claude does not go wild. Mostly for the write and delete. For the read, usually I put it on always allow, so you can just go inside Fireflies and read it all. I don't really have, to do anything about it. But for the writing and the deletion, I prefer owning that part because again, we don't want the AI to go wild. But usually, with the AI does not really go wild. It's usually the request that you give it that can be misunderstood. So make sure to always be specific with an AI. So now that the connection is established, what I do, it's simple. I just come back here and I ask Claude, I want you to go to Fireflies and get me the transcript of my latest meeting. But as you can see right now that Claude is going to go into Fireflies. You can see right here, I need the tool to that list recent meeting, and it starts working. I'm not going to show you the exact meeting that is right here because again, it's a private client, but you can see that you're actually saving a lot of time out of your busy day. You don't have to jump between tools. You know how valuable your time is. So this is really, really important to use the connector. All right. So far I've done this one at a time, asking for one thing, then the next. That is fine for a couple of pieces. But the whole reason of this video is to save you a week of work. So we are going to go to the next part where you actually hand the job to the AI tool. The tool that we are going to use this time is CoWork. CoWork is where you hand Claude the whole job and let it walk through. In a normal chat, you go back and forth, driving every move. In CoWork, you give it a job and it carries the whole thing through using your projects, your connectors, and your file all together, checking in with you instead of waiting on you for every move. It even goes into your computer and take actions on your behalf. Do you remember the recording from the call at the beginning? It's sitting in a folder on my computer, more specifically the download folder. So I will tell CoWork to go into the download folder of my computer and grab the transcript meeting with Jade. and then give me a week's worth of content from it. 7 short video scripts from the strongest things said, 1 long video script, and LinkedIn post in my voice. And once I ask it, I press the send button, and of course, CoWork is going to go into my computer, as you're going to see in a few seconds. Open the folder, and you can see right here, I will start by locating this transcript file. We'll go into my computer. The transcript is now in my workspace. I need access to your downloads folder to grab it. So CoWork asks for permission. That's why right here, there's the button ask, where CoWork always have to ask before acting. There's also the option act without asking. It's really up to you. But for the first time, it's always better to ask before acting. So CoWork is asking me to have access to my download folder. I'm gonna give access to it, and then it's going to go inside and grab the file. So this is the part I wanted you to see, the final result, a full week of content, all 15 pieces in my voice, and built from the strongest moment in the Jane session. So as you can see, the document is right here. This is amazing. You have 7 shorts, 1 long form, 7 LinkedIn posts. So we have the script here. So you just put it on camera and you start rolling. You have the long form video as well, script. Wow, this is beautiful. And you have, of course, your LinkedIn posts. Every line of that came out of one conversation, and I have not opened a blank page once this entire time, as you have seen. Now, please remember, CoWork is the most powerful piece here. So it's also the one that is most likely to go sideways if you skip the earlier setup. It's like a very capable assistant to whom you are handling a great job, a big job, but you don't give that assistant context. So it's going to mess it up. So everything you just watch work because the project was loaded, the call was already pulled in, there was enough context. So you can see in the right side, you have download, instructions, the transcript of the meeting, and some context. All of that is needed. One practical note: CoWork runs in the desktop app only. So if you're on your phone, you can only see Dispatch. Dispatch connects to your CoWork and can take action on your computer from your phone. I know that's a lot of information, and it deserves a video on its own. So I'm going to stop right here. Last checkpoints. What can CoWork do that a normal chat cannot? Yes, it can act on your computer. It is going to go into your folders, open file, and work the job instead of waiting on you for every move. Now, there's one running thread through that I purposely skipped, but now we are going to talk about it. You might or might have noticed it earlier. When I was talking earlier about the context, I showed you this part of my screen where there is skill. A skill is how you teach Claude your specific way of doing one recurring task so that it does it your way every time after that. It does not really matter if you are in a project, in chat, or in CoWork. So I personally have one skill that is called Giovannie Labs Content Engine. You can see it right here. It's a big skill that holds my exact rules for content creation. So for example, no M dash, no corporate fillers, and it does have some of my best previous posts that I've and my best previous speech that I used in the past. So to build a skill is quite easy, honestly. You just have to press on your keyboards / and you pick skill creator, which help you create new skill, modify and improve existing skill. So what I'm going to ask Claude is the following. I'm going to ask Claude to create a skill that help me write in my voice. I'm building a content system for my startup. I will add some files with information about my startup and a few pieces of script that I have written in the past myself. And I want you being Claude, to use that to build this skill. So once you have built the skill, it goes into the system and it starts, working. I'm not going to show you everything. Sometimes Claude ask a few questions, and once you answer those questions, it's going to do a much better job. So once you actually have the skill created, you just have to press again on / and you have it right here. So the beauty of the skill is, at one point when you do it, when you use the skill so many times, Claude's memory will always remember. And every time you are writing content, for example, it will just load the skill immediately. That's why when I was working and I was writing my content and I asked it to build a week of content, it immediately called the skill. I did not load the skill by myself, but for the first time, it's always ideal to, press on / and load the skill by yourself. Now, the skill is created and maybe you are not really happy about it. What do? You want to edit the skill. So the first step is to click on customize, then skill right here. You have the list of all the skills that you have created and the skills available on your computer. You can choose your skill right here, press the 3 dots, and then click on the edit button, and you have the ability to edit the skill. There's a block of text. Or if you want, you can just ask, Claude to help you edit the skill, and it does it immediately. I've built a few skills for some entrepreneurs I work with. So it's just beautiful how, thanks to the skill, they are able to actually save some time. One of the finance coach I was working with recently told me that before her calls, before the skill, she used to prep for 2 hours. After the skill, her preparation is just 15 minutes before, because just go as quickly as possible. So that's it. That's it. We are done. Congratulations, you made it through. I know it was a long video. You just watch how AI can help you turn one call into a week full of output that can increase your business. Now, hold on. There is one final piece that you may have heard of on the internet. Developers and technical folks are losing their mind on Twitter about it. So I'm going to save you some stress. It's about Claude Code. Claude Code is for building software, prototypes, real automations, and websites. It's the engineering layer underneath all. So if you're a technical founder, it's incredible to use. But for most of you watching this video, you are probably running a coaching practice or a shop or a service business, or you are just a regular folks going to work on who is on a 9 to 5. You do not need it yet. Yet. So pretending right now that you absolutely need to master Cloud Code would be selling you anxiety with a subscription attached. I've used it myself to build tool, and honestly, I was impressed. But for you, I would much rather you work inside projects, leverage CoWork, create one great skill, and then go on with your day. So the day you genuinely hit the ceiling of what the other parts of Cloud can do, well, Cloud Code is here, sitting right there, waiting for you. The capabilities are improving. But until then, you can just keep it with a completely clear conscience. One day I'll drop a full video on Cloud Code for beginners. So please follow me. Now, a quick recap. What did we talk about? First, chat, where you define the shape instead of asking, like it's Google Projects, where you save your context once, so everything after can sound like you. And Claude have a lot of information about your business and how you operate. 3, artifacts, where you ask for the actual thing and it comes out as a client-ready project plan like we did earlier. Connectors, where your real tools come to you so you don't have to go into the drive and copy and paste again. You just make calls from Claude and it works. CoWork, where you hand off the whole job and one call become a week of content where Claude go on your computer and take some sort of autonomous action. And skill, finally, where you teach it your method, which is why none of the content that I've created sounded like a robot. So if you do one thing after this video, open Claude, just go open Claude, go to chat, open Claude, set up, a single project, upload some of your file, mostly the 2 or 3 best example of your previous work, give it some context in the instruction, and that's how you start using AI to save time, accelerate your business, and improve your life. So if this video gave you a clear, pristine picture of what Claude actually does in a real business or in your life, please subscribe to the channel and I see you on the other side. It's Emile Gio. Go build something.